Hey there YouTube, decided to make this video. It's 100 things that you wouldn't know about the Harry Potter series if you only watched the movies and never read the books. Now in this video I'm going to go over not everything, just 100 things that came from the top of my head. I know there's a lot more, there's lists everywhere out there. I kind of just tried to go off the top of my head and made a little notepad in my phone, 100 things. And so obviously there's a bunch more, but these are 100 things that I thought of at least that happened in the books but not in the movies. Now within this list I'm not including things that are completely different. These are things that just flat out didn't happen in the movies, the movies that happened in the book series, not things that are different, because there's a lot of things that changed that they did differently. In this are just going to be things that just did not happen, things you just did not know existed. So hope you enjoy. Remus Lupin was actually assigned to spy on the werewolves in Half-Blood Prince. The seeker for Hufflepuff is Cedric Diggory. Dennis Creevey, which is Colin Creevey, the kid with the cameras, his little brother's left out. His little brother comes into the third movie, right after Colin Creevey, and who comes in the second movie. His little brother comes into Hogwarts, and he actually falls into the Black Lake, so he was left out of the movie completely. The kitchens. In the books, Harry, Ron, and Hermione actually travel down to the kitchens in the basement to visit the house elves. In the Half-Blood Prince, Cormac McLaggen becomes keeper while Ron is hospitalized. And during the match, Cormac McLaggen starts giving out orders, and Harry gets fed up and yells at Cormac, who actually takes the beater's bat from one of the beaters, and Cormac actually hits a bludger and actually knocks Harry out right in the head. Knocks Harry out, they lose the game. Cormac, you're not a good guy. Stan Shunpike is accused of being a Death Eater, and he actually takes part in the chase in the beginning of Deathly Hallows while he's under the Imperius Curse. When Harry first gets his firebolt, Hermione tells McGonagall has it set out to be searched for jinxes and any kind of curses being left on it, and it actually causes a huge fight between Harry, Ron, and Hermione because Harry wants, to ride his precious firebolt, and Hermione gets it taken away from him to get it checked, so it causes a huge fight. That was left out. Draco Malfoy actually misses Quidditch where the Slytherin's playing so he can work on the Vanishing Cabinet more while the whole school's up at the Quidditch match. In the Sorcerer's Stone, Draco Malfoy actually tricks Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Neville, who all follow him, to go out to have a midnight duel. Harry and Ron go to sneak out, Hermione and Neville go with them, and it winds up that Malfoy just tried to get them to get caught out of bed, and there was actually no intentions of trying to duel, but yeah, Malfoy chickened out basically. Fred and George make a bet with Ludo Bagman, who's not in the movies at all actually, make a bet at the beginning of the Quidditch World Cup in the 4th book, The Goblet of Fire. They bet that Ireland will win, but Crumb will catch the snitch. Ludo Bagman takes the bet, and he winds up paying them, since that's actually what happened. Crumb catches the snitch, but Ireland still wins, since Crumb only got 150 points, and Ireland still won. But so Ludo Bagman pays them in leprechaun gold, which vanishes. And they actually couldn't get ahead. They kept trying to get Ludo Bagman to pay them, and he just wouldn't. Harry actually misses the last Quidditch game in Half-Blood Prince while he's captain because of the whole Septum Sempra thing where he injures Draco. Snape gives him detention every Saturday, so Harry actually misses the last match, forcing Ginny Weasley to play Seeker. Ron and Ginny get into a huge argument when Harry and Ron accidentally walk into her and Dean snogging, as they like to call it, where Ron and Ginny actually get into a huge fight about snogging and all that kind of stuff, and it was pretty brutal. Harry's wand is actually the wand used to cast the Dark Mark in the Goblet of Fire. In the movies, Barty Crouch Jr. just does it, but in the book there's a house elf is found holding Harry's wand, and it is discovered that Harry's wand was the wand used to cast the Dark Mark. Peeves. Peeves is a poltergeist that haunts Hogwarts. He causes a lot of mischief throughout the whole series, and he is just nowhere near there in the movies. I heard they casted him and they shot some of his scenes, but he just never made the final cut into the movies. It's kind of upsetting because it's kind of a funny character. He's not nice, but yeah, Peeves plays a big part in the books, and he's just nowhere to be seen in the movies. Percy Weasley actually starts dating Penelope Clearwater. In the last match of Half-Blood Prince, where Harry's actually in detention, Gryffindor wins the match by enough points to win the Quidditch Cup. So Harry being captain, Gryffindor wins the Quidditch Cup. That was left out. The movies needed more Quidditch. More Quidditch. In the Deathly Hallows, Lupin actually finds him. He actually asks to join their squad, but Harry turns him down because Lupin has his son on the way, and Harry thinks that he shouldn't be risking his life at that point. the song Weasley is Our King is left out. Weasley is Our King starts out as a Slytherin. It's a chant to kind of throw Ron off his game while he's playing Keeper. They try to distract him by singing a song, kind of making fun of him, saying that Weasley is Slytherin's king because he cannot save a single thing. He cannot block a single ring. That's what Slytherin's all saying, Weasley is our king, which later, once Ron becomes a good keeper, actually turns into a Gryffindor chant to encourage Ron. Harry does not take the full Felix Felicis or Lucky Potion, his first swig, when he tries to get the memory from Slughorn. He actually saves a bit of it and gives it to the rest of his friends later when he leaves to go with Dumbledore, just in case anything bad happens. At Slughorn's Christmas party, there's actually a vampire attending. Madame Pince, the librarian, is left out. She seems like she would be pretty scary, honestly. In Order of the Phoenix, after Gryffindor beats Slytherin, Malfoy goes and starts egging Harry on, and then he starts insulting the Weasley family. And then Fred and George here, they all start to run over to fight Malfoy. Fred gets held back, but George and Harry actually start beating the living crap out of Malfoy. And then they get the fight gets broken up, they get taken to McGonagall's office. McGonagall starts to give them detention. Umbridge comes in and bans them from Quidditch. And she even bans Fred, who did not take part in the fight, but she banned him because she felt he would have fought if it happens. So Harry, Fred, and George were banned from the Quidditch team for the rest of Order of the Phoenix, which led to Ron and Ginny joining the Quidditch team. In the Triwizard Tournament, each of the contestants actually have their wands weighed. That's a big ceremony. They get taken out of class for that, and that whole thing was left out. In the books, the Sorting Hat sings a song every year before the sorting takes, or before the sorting takes place. And I wanted to hear the Hat sing. The Hat never sings in the movies. What's with that? I want to hear Hat sing. Neville Longbottom actually broke his wand in the Order of the Phoenix, which was his father's, and he gets a new one in the Half-Blood Prince. Sir Nicholas's Death Day Party. Now, in the Chamber of Secrets, Nearly Headless Nick actually celebrates his Death Day Party, which is the anniversary of his death. I believe it's 500 years. And Harry, Ron, and Hermione actually go there, and there's a whole bunch of ghosts there. There's no real food. And then Harry leaving, when they actually escape, Harry hears the basilisk. And, yeah, where's the giant squid? The giant squid supposed to be in the Black Lake. Where is it? It's not there. I want to know where it is. I want to see a giant squid. Mr. Weasley actually comes to fetch Harry. Him, Fred, George, and Ron actually come to fetch Harry from the Dursleys. They come out through the fireplace, and the Dursleys they don't like that shit. That shit's bad. In the Deathly Hallows, Ron has a ghoul that lives in his attic take his place in bed to pretend that he has a disease called splattergroit, so it doesn't look suspicious if Harry, Ron, and Hermione are all missing together. In the beginning of the first book, Vernon Dursley is actually driving on his way to work, and he sees a lot of people out and about in what is now known as wizard attire, and robes and everything, after the defeat of Voldemort. And he's very confused about why all these weird people are out, and all the owls, and there's news reports about owls misbehaving, and it actually gets onto the Muggle news, and that was kind of interesting, I thought. In the book, there's a scene where Molly Weasley tackles a Boggart, and Harry walks in on it, and it turns into all the members of the Weasley family dead on the ground, and then includes Harry as well. It was a pretty heart-wrenching scene, and they left that out. In the Half-Blood Prince, Malfoy has Crabbe and Goyle disguise themselves as girls, so that while he's in the room requirement, they can stand guard and no one will realize that it's Crabbe and Goyle. Harry repeatedly tries to get into the room requirement where Draco Malfoy's in it. He spends a lot of his free time actually going up and down the wall trying to get the room to reveal itself to see what Malfoy's doing. Rufus Grimjaw, the new Minister of Magic, actually comes to the Burrow in order to have a private conversation with Harry. He uses Percy Weasley as a scapegoat to kind of visit the Weasleys, and he pulls Harry aside to have a private conversation with him. This never happens in the movies. Harry's actually given detention with Professor Snape after the whole incident with Draco Malfoy in the bathroom with the Septum Sempra spell. Snape gives him detention every Saturday at 10 a.m. until for the rest of the term, and which means Harry misses Quidditch. Firenze, the Centaur, actually comes to teach divination after Professor Trelawney gets sacked. Now, in the movies, you see Professor Trelawney get sacked, and Dumbledore lets her live on premises still. But in the books, Firenze, the Centaur, actually comes from the Forbidden Forest to teach divination, and that's kind of left out in the movies. Ron Weasley actually calls the Dursley's house in order to try and get in contact with Harry, and he starts yelling really loud, and Vernon Dursley gets really pissed. It's kind of really funny, actually. Harry actually has Dobby and Creature follow Draco Malfoy in the Half-Blood Prince because Harry just comes obsessed with finding out what Malfoy's doing. Lee Jordan who is commentator for Quidditch in the movies as well as he is in the books, is also Fred and George's best friend. So also often when Fred and George are being seen doing pranks, Lee Jordan is usually right there with him. But Lee Jordan in the movies was just for commentating for Quidditch, never seen with Fred and George. The character of Phineas Nigellus is left out. The Phineas Nigellus is a past headmaster of Hogwarts, so his portrait is up in Dumbledore's office. Wow, brain fart. But is also a relative of the Blacks, so he has a portrait in number 12 Grimmauld Place. So Phineas Nigellus is sometimes used to give messages from Dumbledore's office to number 12 Grimmauld Place, since he has a portrait in both, so he can go in between. His character is left out. There is no portrait of Phineas, there's no crude remarks from Phineas, who is apparently, according to Sirius, the least liked headmaster of Hogwarts history. Draco Malfoy actually becomes quite friendly with Moaning Myrtle during a Half-Blood Prince, where he finds that he can actually vent and talk to her while he's sobbing in the bathroom. Professor Grubbly-Plank is left out. Professor Grubbly-Plank is a substitute professor at Hogwarts, and she actually, whenever Hagrid is out, she actually covers the Care for Magical Creatures class. The Marauders are never explained, so Harry gets this awesome Marauders map, but he's never explained that, yes, Padfoot is Sirius, and Wormtail is Peter Pettigrew, but he's never explained that Prongs is actually his father, James Potter, and Moony is actually Remus Lupin. It's never explained that those four are actually the people who actually wrote the Marauders map. In the books, Colin Creevey actually dies in the end of the Battle of Hogwarts, the last battle. He sneaks out, since he is technically underage and wasn't really allowed to fight. He snuck out into the battle and he actually got himself killed, so rest in peace, Colin. The idea of secret keepers was removed from the movies. How Dumbledore was the secret keeper for number 12 Grimmauld Place, and how to get in to see Grimmauld Place you had to be told by Dumbledore. In the book, Mad-Eye Moody gives Harry a note written by Dumbledore, and he reads it out loud. That's how Harry is able to get into number 12 Grimmauld Place. And for the Potters, when they were murdered by Voldemort, Peter Pettigrew was their secret keeper, and since he was working for Voldemort, he was able to tell him their whereabouts, since he was their secret keeper. In the Half-Blood Prince, after Sirius Black is killed, Tonks actually cannot use her morphing abilities that she normally is able to, due to the fact that she is severely depressed about the death of Sirius, so she's not able to change her hair or her appearance, and that was left out. Crabbe and Goyle actually become beaters for the Slytherin team. Sirius Black gives Harry a knife that can actually unlock anything, and he uses that a few times in the book, never in the movie. That's handy. I wish I had that. Tom Riddle actually goes and kills his Muggle father and his Muggle father's parents, his grandparents. He breaks into their house and he kills them all. How rude. Uncle Vernon's job is selling drills. Severus Snape is actually the person that told Voldemort about the prophecy. Pigwidgeon, which was Ron's owl that he got as a pet after Scabbers left, since Scabbers was, kind of Peter Pettigrew, but left out that Ron had a pet owl called Pigwidgeon. Mundungus Fletcher is actually caught by Harry in Hogsmeade, stealing Sirius Black's stuff once Sirius passes away. Harry runs into Mundungus, and he actually Mundungus drops a bunch of cups, and it's actually with the Black family crest. Harry finds out that Mundungus is actually stealing from Sirius after Sirius passed. In the books, Fred and George actually put one of the Slytherin Quidditch players into a vanishing cabinet, and I believe it's Order of the Phoenix, and it takes them a few weeks to actually get him out. I'm pretty sure it's Montague. And that's actually where Malfoy gets the idea for the vanishing cabinets, is because he realizes that the other one is in Borgin and Burke's, and the other one's in the room requirement. So they wind up, that's how he gets the idea to bring the Death Eaters in through the vanishing cabinets. Charlie Weasley is nowhere to be seen in the movies. He's mentioned once or twice, but being the eldest of the Weasley brothers, in the book he makes a few appearances. In the movies he is nowhere to be seen. We have no idea what Charlie Weasley looks like. You don't find out that Percy Weasley is a prat. Percy Weasley. Percy Weasley, he actually goes off to join the ministry. You don't realize this. He ditches his family. He says some very rude things to them. He makes Molly Weasley cry a lot. And in the end, he comes back and he apologizes for being a huge prat. But and then, well, I'm not gonna say anything else. But it was a big part to kind of see Percy, leave and come back, and it was really emotional, especially for the Battle of Hogwarts. He came back and he admitted he was wrong and he was a giant prat. And Percy Weasley. In Half-Blood Prince, they take an apparition test. That's how, a wizard appears and reappears somewhere else. They actually have apparition lessons, and they actually take their apparition test. When Duncan Fletcher was actually on watch in the Order of the Phoenix, when Harry got attacked by the Dementors, he was supposed to be watching just in case anything like that happened, but he was off making a sale for cauldrons at a cheap price. Where were you, Mundungus? We needed you. There's a whole extra bunch that goes on in the Order of the Phoenix when they go to the Department of Mystery. So much more happens. Like Ron gets tangled in brains. There's a room with all the time turners, or one of the Death Eaters gets stuck in it, and his head goes back from baby and all that fun stuff. There's a bunch of other stuff that happens in the Department of Mystery. There's a whole bunch of different doors. Hermione actually marks them with fiery X's to make sure they don't keep going through the same doors. There's so much that happens in between, and they kind of just, in the movies, they just jump into them being in the Department of the Hall of Prophecies. Everyone winces at the name Voldemort in the books. Like, they say Voldemort, and that never really happens in the movies. And I don't know, I always thought it'd be interesting to see what that really looked like. Like, Voldemort, I don't really see that happening. At the end of the Goblet of Fire, Harry actually gives Fred and George his 100,000 galleons, or whatever the prize money. He gives it to Fred and George to start their joke shop. The mention of Velas is cut out. In the Goblet of Fire, in the Quidditch World Cup, Bulgarians bring Velas. And these are these creatures that are, they look like beautiful women, and they distract men. And Fleur Delacour, the champion for Beauxbatons, is actually part Vela. And that whole part was left out. At the end of the Deathly Hallows, Harry actually fixes his wand with the Elder Wand. Instead of just snapping the Elder Wand, he actually fixes his old wand, which gets broken, and he just snaps the Elder Wand at the end, leaving him wandless. So I don't know why he did that. He should have fixed it like he did in the book. In the Order of the Phoenix, Harry and Cho Chang actually go on a date, and it goes from decent to really, really, really bad. Come on, Harry. I had faith in you, bro. Ted Tonks is left out. Ted Tonks is the son of Remus Lupin and Nymphadora Tonks. Since both of them die, Harry becomes the godfather, which is also left out. And Ted Tonks, in the epilogue, he actually stays with Harry and Ginny a lot, and he comes over for dinner all the time, and they just left Ted Tonks out in general. In the Sorcerer's Stone, once they get in past Fluffy and past the Devil's Snare and then all that stuff, there's actually a room in between the chessboard and the room with the Mirror of Erised. That's actually a room filled with potions. Harry and Hermione go into the room, and Hermione figures out which potion is safe to drink so Harry can continue to the last room. They cut the scene out, and it's kind of a shame because it really does Hermione's character justice. Harry, Ron, and Hermione and Ginny actually, while in St. Mungo's visiting Arthur Weasley after a snake bite, they actually run into Neville Longbottom in St. Mungo's, where his parents are, since they were tortured by Bellatrix and Barty Crouch Jr. with the Cruciatus Curse, and they're driven to insanity, and Neville and his grandmother are actually there visiting, and they actually run into Neville, and it's quite awkward for them, and they kind of realize that Neville's parents are like that. They were top-of-the-line Aurors, much respect. In the Goblet of Fire, in the Triwizard Tournament, in the last event, in the maze, Harry actually runs into a Sphinx, and he has to solve a riddle to get past it, or else it's like, I will attack if you don't. At least it gave him an option instead of straight up attacking. What a nice Sphinx. Horace Slughorn used to be head of Slytherin House back when he taught at Hogwarts the first time. At the Battle of Hogwarts, a lot of people came to help fight the battle, actually, that were left out in the movies. Just to name a few, like Oliver Wood, a lot of Harry's Quidditch team, a lot of people came to actually help fight the Battle of Hogwarts. And it was brought back some old memories. Ron and Hermione are made prefects in Order of the Phoenix. Now, this annoys Harry a little bit since he is, he figures he's Dumbledore's favorite, so he figured he would become a prefect, but Ron and Hermione become prefects, they get all the prefects' duties, they get some power, it's pretty cool. That was completely left out of the movie. Rita Skeeter posts an article bashing Hermione and how she is like playing with Harry's heart or something, if I remember correctly, and Hermione actually gets hate mail for this. She gets a whole bunch of nasty letters, and she even gets one that's kind of blows up in her face and gives her a really bad infection, and it's just not good. The secret for Ravenclaw is Cho Chang. Ginny Weasley is very skilled at the Bat Bogey Hex. That's actually how she joins the Slug Club, is that Professor Slughorn sees her hexing someone, and instead of giving her detention, he praises her and lets her join the Slug Club due to her skill. Isn't that awesome? The whole scene in the Pensive in Half-Blood Prince where they go and they see the Gaunt family, which is the relatives of Voldemort. There's a whole scene explaining the history behind the ring, and the Gaunt family is all taken out of the movies. Blast-ended scroots. That's all I'm really going to say about that. Dobby, the house elf, is actually the person who tells Harry about the Room of Requirements. When Harry very sarcastically asks Dobby if he knows of a place where they can practice for the DA meetings, Dobby says, I do, Harry Potter. Sirius Black's mother, she has a portrait hanging up, and it was stuck to the wall using some kind of charm where it couldn't come off, and it would just go crazy anytime it made any noise around it. She would be screaming, and she just sounded like a foul woman. When they get their OWL results back, Harry actually gets an outstanding in defense against the dark arts. Aunt Petunia actually gets a howler sent from Dumbledore. When they try to kick Harry out, a howler is actually sent saying that to remind Aunt Petunia that Harry is to stay. Argus Filch, is a squib. Again, once they get their OWL results back, Hermione gets outstanding in everything but defense against the dark arts. She just gets a grade below it. Harry's eyes are actually supposed to be green. Everyone keeps saying you have your mother's eyes, they're actually bright green. In Order of the Phoenix, while they're taking their astronomy OWL, they go and try to take Hagrid. So Dolores Umbridge, I'm sorry, I have a bad cough right now. Dolores Umbridge and a bunch of Aurors go to Hagrid's and they try to take Hagrid. And Hagrid's resisting. Then Professor McGonagall actually walks over to Hagrid to see what's going on. And 4 of the Aurors hit her with a stunning spell and it sends her to the hospital. The swamp. Fred and George decide to, when they're terrorizing Hogwarts, I guess you can say terrorizing, when they're pulling out their pranks on Hogwarts right before they leave in the 5th movie and book, they actually make a swamp. And Dolores Umbridge cannot get rid of the swamp. While all the other professors could, they leave it to her. And it's kind of cool because at the end, Flitwick actually gets rid of the swamp, and he leaves a little portion in honor of Fred and George Weasley. Spew! S-P-E-W. It's Hermione's organization for the welfare of elfish rights. Because she believes in that house elves should be treated equally, even though the house elves don't agree with her trying to help. But she makes this organization, she keeps trying to get everyone to try to join, and Spew! It's not called Spew, it's S-P-E-W, but we call it Spew. Winky the house elf, the alcoholic, I guess you could say, house elf, was never included. Winky was Barty Crouch's house elf, and she makes an appearance in the Goblet of Fire, and then later working at Hogwarts, where she kind of has a little problem. But Winky is just not in there at all. Winky was also the house elf found in the Goblet of Fire to have Harry's wand, and we found out later she was helping Barty Crouch Jr. and all. It's just crazy. In the Deathly Hallows, Hermione actually keeps Phineas Nigelus's portrait from Grimmauld Place in her bag, so they can spy on Hogwarts, since Phineas Nigellus has a portrait in, now Professor Snape's headmaster office. Dudley actually brings a friend to the zoo in the Sorcerer's Stone. They leave out Professor Binns, who is the ghost teacher for History of Magic. I mean, his class is pretty boring, but he's a ghost teacher, which is kind of cool, and they left out his class completely. And a lot of stuff takes place in the books in Professor Binns' class, but they just left it out completely, which I understand. It's a boring subject. Harry actually interviews with Rita Skeeter in the 5th, in the Order of the Phoenix, where he says his side of the story completely, and she publishes it in The Quibbler, Luna Lovegood's father's magazine, where he is the editor, and it posts inside The Quibbler, which is later bought by the Daily Prophet. When Harry Potter looks in the Mirror of Erised, it's in the movies you just see his mother and father. In the book, he sees the entire extended Potter family. What he wanted the most is to have a family. In the Goblet of Fire, when they all go down to the Quidditch pitch and Ludo Bagman shows them the maze for the first time, Victor Crumb asks Harry to hang back so he can talk to him and actually ask him about what's going on between him and Hermione. Percy Weasley writes a letter to Ron after Ron becomes a prefect, kind of telling him to ditch Harry and that he should more follow in Percy's footsteps, and it's kind of just... Rita Skeeter is actually an animagus. She can turn into a beetle, and Hermione catches her, and go Hermione. Luna Lovegood actually does the commentary for Quidditch, and it's quite funny. Gilderoy Lockhart actually ends up in St. Mungo's hospital for magical injuries and maladies or something like that. I'm sorry if I mix that up. But they actually run into him, and his memory is completely gone from the backfire in the Chamber of Secrets, and they actually run into Lockhart in St. Mungo's while Arthur is there. Fred and George actually wanted to buy Zonko's joke shop in Hogsmeade, but never got to do that, unfortunately. Fred Weasley's death. Now, I know this kind of goes against what I said, where it's stuff that's not, I mean, it does happen in the movies, kinda, like you kind of see Fred's body there, and if you don't know it's Fred, I don't think you realize that it's Fred. But Fred Weasley, in the books, his death is a little more significant, I feel. You know, him and Percy, Percy makes him laugh, you know, Percy's joking, Fred laughs, and then Fred dies, and well, Fred's my favorite character, so I felt they didn't do it justice, his death, so I kind of felt like this needed to be on this list, but Fred's death is definitely something, yeah, I don't know, I can't really talk about it. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. Obviously, there's 100, but there's still plenty more out there, so any that I left, please comment them down below. I'd really appreciate it. I'd enjoy hearing more of these. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Maybe if this video goes over well, I'll do a video about the differences, things that are different that happen in the books and in the movies, but they're different. Maybe I'll do a list video of that. Depends if this video gets 10 views or if it gets a lot of views. Who knows? We'll see. Comment down below if you think that would be cool to watch and you think I should spend some time to make that. Also, if you are interested, I did a review of the Harry Potter Funko Pop set. I'm a huge Funko Pop collector, and the Harry Potter set is probably my favorite to date. So I did a review video on those, and subscribe and for more videos. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Hope you enjoyed.